he was in love with the Black Dahlia, and her getting murdered was like a big life-changing thing for him. And so we find out a little bit more of that in part two. So
You have to wonder if Tommy is DB Cooper. Could explain a lot. Purple hoodie?
What parts did Tommy ad-lib?
the Chinese food scene. He's like very special Chinese person. There's a few things in there. It was scripted when he says, "I'll give you a few oranges if you go to jail." Like a lot of that craziness was scripted, so I don't know if that makes me more insane than him. But I'm like, but yeah, most of it was scripted.
Okay, right in front here.
Obviously, there are quite a few the room Easter eggs in there, which I thought were really nice. What was your process for picking what Easter eggs you were going to put in there?
Well, they kind of picked themselves because the goal was to put nothing in relation to the room. I was like, this is going to be completely different than the room. So the basketball scene just kind of happened. The spiral staircase was just there. We got to filming and we're like, okay, this character has to go up to the next level and there's a spiral staircase. Maybe people will notice. But clearly they did. I thought, oh, maybe they won't notice. The room DVD I didn't notice was even in there. Because we filmed it was at my place, and I think it was like audience reaction DVD. It looks like the room DVD, but I didn't even notice that was in there. I'm trying to think what else. When I think Tommy says, "Oh, hi, John," that was ad-libbed. So, which, whenever that's said in a genuine way, I think works really well. But yeah, the goal was really to have none, and they just forced their way in. So.
Okay, tartan shirt, right in front of me. Yep.
How much advice did Tommy give you? And anything good?
Not too much. The shoes, and then he called me at like 2 a.m. one morning. He's like, look, you make big mistake. I should be wearing like doctor outfit, like doctor guy. And I was like, well, you're not a doctor, but true. And then I was like, shit, you're right. You should be wearing scrubs or something. And so he put on that blue shirt. And he's like, my God, I think about everything. You don't think about anything. And then he wanted to have gloves on when he was playing basketball, which I didn't understand why. But other than that, he pretty much was collaborative and fun to work with.
Okay, the eager dude in the beanie. Good question.
So, you seem so involved with the production, you wrote it and you produced it, and you kind of touched on this before where you said you didn't want to do everything, but why stop not directing the film?
Oh, why not directing?
Yeah. And what was the process of finding that director?
Yeah, I just have never studied it. I mean, I can think of shots that I really like, or if I'm in the moment, I can think of an idea, but I mean, each frame has to tell a story, and I think it's a big risk coming out of the room, wanting to make something that's watchable. I think the reason the room is watchable, even though it's shot, it seems like it's shot so poorly. They had professional people setting up shots, so I feel like that's what makes the room funny, is that it's watchable enough because of the people that shot it. And so with this one, a friend of mine, it was a mutual friend, there was this young director who had seen the room when he was 16. He had made some really great short films. And I thought it was good to have somebody who knows the room and likes it, but at the same time loves films, loves directors like Terrence Malick and David Fincher, and is aspiring to make something that's visually interesting, but at the same time knowing what we're making. It's like, if there's a moment in there that really works and is ridiculous and genuine, make sure you capture it. So it's just about finding the right team to tell the story. But I think it was just too big of a risk for me to try to direct something having no idea what I was doing. Coming out of the room.
Over the back there. Yep, you. Yep.
What's the funniest moment being around Tommy? I mean, he's a very comedic sort of dude, just naturally.
Well, yeah, it involved the clown. So this clown guy shows up. He's a friend of mine, and I was like, I got a part for you, and he's like, you cast me as a dead clown? He's like, unbelievable. I was like, no, there's a twist. And so we shoot that little teaser thing where he gets up and he goes up behind Tommy, and I think he's just gonna kind of grab his shirt, but he full on like grabs him and starts like choking him as hard as he can. Tommy's about to die, and he's like, cut. He's like, what are you doing? Do you know anything about acting? You do very gentle like this. My God, are you nuts? And the guy's like, maybe. Watching Tommy yell at a clown giving him acting lessons was unbelievable. And then we did the next take, and he did the exact same thing. And Tommy's like, oh my God, it's too hard again. So that scene, I just realized it was like the first week of filming, and I thought, if we don't finish making this movie, it was worth it just to see this go down. Like, I laughed about that for, no joke, like 3 to 4 weeks, uncontrollably when I would think about it. And I was like, yeah, it's true. Clown tried to kill me. You laugh. It's tragic.
Okay, over there. Yep.
Two questions. Firstly, what was with the gold mannequin in the mortuary room?
Oh, that was a Tommy contribution, because he puts those up in his house. And so I was like, let's try to make it like it's Tommy's home. And so he brought it like all dismantled, and he was like so protective of it. He's like, don't scratch my thing, my God. You treat so he was like all protective, wanted to put it up, and so I was like, okay, let's try to bring some realism in here.
Second question. Have you heard the Black Hands podcast?
The what?
Okay, so you mentioned you're interested in true crime?
Yeah,
Black Hands podcast.
I haven't. Is it good?
Yes.
Yeah, I second that. That's good.
It's good. Listen to it.
What's it about?
About the Bain murders.
The what?
Oh, do you want to explain to me what the Bain murders?
The famous New Zealand murders that happened, I think, in Christchurch?
Dunedin.
Really?
Dunedin. Oh, a lot of weird stuff happening in Dunedin. Clown funerals, Bain murders.
So Black Hands podcast?
Yeah.
What about, have you listened to S Town?
No.
Yeah? What'd you guys think? Good way of putting it. Yeah, I'll check that out. Sounds good.
Okay, over there. Yep. Yeah, you.
Yeah, so two questions. One is Harvey a vampire? And two, in your opinion, is Tommy in real life a vampire?
Yes to both. I think part two, some responses to that.
Oh, you've had a question. The committed gentleman over here.
You were pretty young at that time. Did you actually think you were going to move in with this way older guy to make movies? And then also, what was it like actually living with him?
Yeah, she was really concerned. Because I was going to LA to check out the apartment because I was going to rent it from him. It was a little different than the movie. He's like, I have a vacant place there. You know, you can rent if you like, charge you $200. And I thought, that's huge. I mean, if I can get in there. My mom was like trying to get me away from acting. So I kind of needed somebody neutral to help me out. And so when she met him, he's like, oh, I drive to LA, you know, I show him an apartment. And my mom's like, well, no sex. And he's like, well, I don't know. We all do, you know. So it was just really embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, I think she probably thought something was awfully strange that, you know, why, she's like, why do you want to hang out with my son? Well, he's a cool guy. I don't know what to say. So I think, yeah, she was obviously concerned, but I think she knew I wanted to go to LA to try to get into movies. But she thought it's just such a waste of time and it's totally unrealistic, you know, and I think a lot of parents feel that. You make a lot of your biggest mistakes at that age, and she thought this was going to be the ultimate one. So, yeah, I'm sure she was really concerned. But now she's like, whatever. Oh, and being a roommate with him, that's a hell of a question. It was at some points hilarious, some points maddening, other points terrifying. We had this small one-bedroom apartment that he separated. So first I lived there by myself, and then once I booked this movie, Retro Puppet Master, it's like this kind of D-grade horror film. He thought I was like a movie star, so he's like, shit, I'm moving in now too, and I'm gonna like go get movies. And So he didn't really tell me, so he just moved into this apartment, and he put up black curtains, so half the apartment was separated with like this black curtain, so it looked like you were entering a theater. And so he'd like wake up really late. If the phone rang before noon, he'd scream his head off. He'd like answer the phone and say, "Don't call here, prick." And so these people were like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And so I had to tell him. People was like, "It's my cousin, you know. He just moved in, and like cousin's he's a dick." So it was like it was really crazy. But while we were roommates, to get out of that vampire cave, I invited him to go see a movie called A Talented Mr. Ripley, just to get out of there. And a friend had told me he'd seen The Talented Mr. Ripley, and he thought if you continue to live with Tommy, that's what's going to happen to you. And so we saw Talented Mr. Ripley, and that night, it was the night of the Golden Globes in 2000. That's the night that he came up with the idea to write The Room. So I guess we were meant to live together for some point, you know, some period of time.
Yep, top left-hand corner there. Yep, yep.
What advice would you give to a young aspiring filmmaker?
I would say immediately go out and make whatever you want to make, whether that's a short film, a film. I think there's no reason to wait or have anything hold you back, especially now, because we live in a time where it's so easy to get a camera. It's so easy to meet people online, not on Reddit or anything like that, but just like find, you know, like sound people, actors, everybody's like is craving to do something. And I think get a team together and go out and make a short film or a video, anything, just to have that feeling of completing a project and seeing your work, learning from it. Because I think everybody has a story to tell. I think everybody has a unique talent to offer. And I learned that with The Room. I mean, I was in these acting classes, and people thought Tommy was, you know, the worst actor. That he was weird. They didn't want to go near him. And all of a sudden, you know, he makes this movie that he thought was going to be an incredible drama, and like here we are, 15 years later, people are still watching it. You know, so if he didn't take the initiative to go out and do that, you know, and for better or for worse, some people may not want that. They may think I don't want to have made the worst movie ever, but it's still something that brings a lot of joy to people. And then I think, for me, it's like I didn't wait, you know, with The Disaster Artist. I was like, I'm going to tell this story, and I want it to become its own movie. And so I kind of, again, took the initiative. And so I've learned that if you sit back and wait, a lot of times the phone's not going to ring. And if you go out there and pursue something, you're going to meet a lot of people, you're going to grow. And I think out of that, something good can happen. So I would say go out and do it.
Okie dokie. I think we've got time for a couple more questions. So, yep, you with the beard over there.
Yeah. Why is Tommy so secretive about his sort of family origins? And have you learned anything more since he wrote The Disaster Artist?
Yeah, definitely learned some more. But I think it's just more of like kind of the, you know, European type. My mom is very secretive. She's from France. You know, they just do things differently. My grandma's the same way. French Sicilian woman, totally crazy. My God, he disappeared. What's he doing? Yeah, I think it's just growing up at a different time, seeing things differently. I don't think he's like behind the Black Hands murder or whatever it's called, but I think it's just a matter of just being paranoid.
Okay, yep. And the glasses there, yep.
So, you said earlier that you don't necessarily think The Room is the worst film of all time. Interesting. And I was wondering if you could tell us what, in your opinion, is the shittest film of all time.
Okay, well that's a kind of a tricky question, because, I mean, obviously, you know, The Room is a shitty film. But it's watchable. So, to me, there's other shitty films out there that you watch and they just like, they feel like poison. And they're like, okay, there's nothing redeeming 10 minutes in. I don't care to ever see what happens to those people. But The Room, I feel like, genuinely gets a response from you. But if you look at like the way it's shot and the acting, then yeah, it lives up to its name. But I think, to me, a shitty film is something I just like, I feel like it doesn't know what it's doing. It's insulting your audience. and I think that would be Star Wars Episode 1. Because being the biggest Star Wars fan, I walked out halfway through. I never saw Part 2. I did see Part 3. It was okay. But.
Yep, you there? Yep.
At the end of Best Friends Part 1, it said that the release for Part 2 would be in June, which if I read right was in America. Do you have any idea when Part 2 is coming out?
Yeah, well, actually, Part 2 comes out in America in September officially, and then it would be October, November here. So, but yeah, no, so this was very much a reunion film, and then Part 2 was really a chance to kind of go and do something very different. And so I think that's the one I'm most excited to show you, because I feel like you have no idea what to expect. And that's always exciting.
Yep, pink here.
I was going to ask just back to the true crime thing. Who do you think killed John Benet Ramsey?
You know what? John Benet Ramsey is one of the ones I haven't become obsessed. Like, I haven't studied it enough.
It was their brother, I think.
Is that what it ended up being?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
So what was like the whole purpose of John? Like, why would they want to kill her?
I couldn't honestly tell you that, but I think it was sort of like a sibling rivalry that spiraled out of control while the parents were away delivering Christmas presents, and then.
So it wasn't for money; it was just for status.
No, it was an accident by the little brother who they didn't realize wasn't of legal age to actually be charged with a crime, which is why they sort of went through with the whole writing of the ransom note and stuff. You should look into it; it's pretty interesting.
I need to check that out.
Yeah.
Yep, with the beard over there.
Well, I don't think it was gold teeth, unfortunately. But I think it was like retail and real estate. It just, yeah, that's the thing that's so cool is the mystery, because you still really don't know. Like at one point he's like, yeah, I started my business. I saw yo-yo. We make lots of money. I was like, come on, yo-yos. But somehow it's all worked, and I think that's what's cool is like not knowing almost is even more interesting.
Okay, I think we'll just take a couple more questions. Right up the back in the corner there.
I was just curious if there were any scenes that you shot for Best Friends that didn't make the final cut.
Yeah, there are a lot, actually. The story just was so wacky. Like, at one point, they get stranded on the way to Vegas. Car breaks down. They end up walking to Vegas. And I was like, man, this is just getting too crazy. So there will be a DVD at some point where there'll be a lot of deleted scenes. But we shot a lot of stuff. I just thought there's a lot of cool things to shoot. But when you get down to it, you were just trying to tell the story the best way possible.
Yep, in front here.
So there's been a lot of questions about the room and Tommy tonight. And I was just wondering if there's ever been a point in your career, because obviously it's been quite defined by Tommy and room, if there's ever been a point in your career where you wish that wasn't your defining film?
I mean, it's tough because you got to start somewhere, I think. And, the room was like this accidental thing that happened. So that's great because, I mean, again, you want to make films that people respond to. And the room is very much like his planet. I'm kind of like the passenger that got kind of caught on it. So I know for me, the book was kind of step one in trying to tell a story, a personal story about that. And then I think it's about making films now that, go in a different direction and kind of start to establish my voice in what the kind of stories I want to tell. So I think it's just a process of, making steps. It's kind of like being part of a sitcom or something that works, and you're known for that. And then, very few break out of that, but it's about being strategic and being really smart. I mean, some people you look at, for example, recently was like Jordan Peele, who's very much defined by, like, I knew him as like a sketch comedian, Key and Peele, and then they did Keanu, that cat movie, which that cat was so good. I watched that trailer over and over. But then, you figure, where do you go from there? That's kind of, and then he came up with a completely different idea and revolutionize what he's going to do. So I think it's the same thing here, where you got to have a voice. You got to make stuff that I think people are interested in, and that's kind of how you work away from where you start.
Okay, final question in the bright orange shirt.
Is there any story behind the ATM, or is that just something you throw in?
I still have that ATM. Guess how much I got it for? $25. Because like a few months earlier, chips were invented, so that ATM was useless. So no, I just thought it was something. Again, thinking in the mind of the character, I thought it was something that he would use. That's what's cool when you can think like the characters you're writing for. It's so much more fun because you actually know them, and so as opposed to just kind of creating a character out of thin air. So I figured he'd drive a white hearse and own an ATM in a shed for no reason.
Can that be an antique?
What, the ATM?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something he said.
Ad-libbed or?
I think it was ad-libbed.
Okie dokie. So we'll wrap this up and we'll have the signing. Or if anyone wants to take a break and stretch their legs, go to the toilet, and then we'll rip into the room. And just one final thing, Greg. How do we get Tommy to come and visit us?
Yeah, it's tough. I've tried to invite him, but for some reason he'll only go to London. So he's like.
So we need to make fake tickets, as I think. I think what we should do.
Thinks it's London, yeah. So, but yeah, no, I've tried, but I think this is the closest we've gotten.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Great.